4. And we're here live with the HS Game Time Live Blitz Week 1 edition, and we're going to cover a lot of things here at the Gosh Auto Group in Hemet. That's Kyle Glazer, and Kyle, we're going to be talking about a lot of things out here for Week 1. Talk about the Mountain Pass League and some of the schools that you've seen from the Hemet area.
Well, obviously, Talkwitz has some big expectations for him. It's been, Talkwitz is
Keep going.
Talkwitz, there's a lot of expectations on them. Last year, they had their first winning season in school history, first playoff appearance in school history, and there's some expectations now. A lot of the key players are back. Michael Stewart, their star wide receiver, is back, and he's a guy they're going to be leaning on. We've also seen Hemet, get that big first win against Banning last week. West Valley under new coach Gordon Wood got their first victory last week against Indio, I believe. And so really all the Hemet schools are off to a nice start. They might make some noise in the Mountain Pass League this year. There's still a lot of games to be played, but so far so good through Week 0.
All right, thanks for joining us here live on the Blitz. We've got a little bit of a delay back to our headquarters at the Press Enterprise in downtown Riverside, but we've worked it out. We're ready to go. We've got a great show coming up. Your guy, Hemet head coach Jeff Reitz, is going to be stopping by here at Gosh Auto Group, and we're going to catch up with Coach Reitz. Big win for the Bulldogs in Week 0.
Absolutely, 42-13, I believe, over Banning, and there's a lot of energy around this program. Coach Reitz, before the year, said he felt like this team was going to be significantly better this season. 17 returning starters. You saw the energy and the optimism in preseason practice. They looked good in Week 0. We'll see if they can keep it up.
All right, so we're going to break down several more games as we move along. Also, the Make a Case or Tell Me Why segment. We're still trying to find out a name for it, but we're going to make a case for certain things that we might see happen in Week 1. We're also going to talk to some fine folks here at the Gosh Auto Group. As we mentioned, Coach Reitz is going to stop by. We'll talk about some of the You Pick'em games coming up. We want you to play along at home. You can sign up online at hsgametime.pe.com. So we've got a big show coming up. And first, let's talk about some of those Week 1 matchups that we're really anticipating. One of them is at JW North. The Huskies are opening their brand new stadium, which is the great news. The bad news is they're playing a very good Heritage team, and I hope the Patriots could spoil North's big debut in their new digs.
These are two of the top-ranked teams in the Central Division. The new CIF Southern Section Central Division poll came out. Heritage is number 3 after a nice opening win against San Jacinto. North 0-0. They're ranked 6th. So really 2 of the top 6 teams. Let's say for the your stadium openings, you want to schedule a patsy. North definitely didn't, but I think it's going to be a really good game. North is opening up the John Rice era, his first. See how they can perform. Heritage with Sion Taki, Hefo. That's a 1-2 punch that's tough to stop. But I think if you want to see a great football game in the Riverside city limits this week, that's the one to go see.
Now, Heritage, they've got some young guys. They've also got that strong senior class they were talking about. Last week, we broke down why they could win the Central Division. Finally, they've come so close in recent years. So that's the Heritage side to it. JW North, they've got the new head coach, John Rice, Tommy Leach, a former head coach at Chaparral. They've got the new stadium. So I don't know, momentum on JW North side as they open up the new stadium?
There's going to be a lot of excitement, in the community, on that campus. But you never know. Sometimes that excitement, it turns into, you can channel that positively. Other times you're overexcited, you commit a lot of penalties, some mental mistakes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I think Heritage, they're coming in higher ranked. I think all the projections have Heritage winning. So a North victory would technically constitute an upset. It would be interesting to see. That would be a great way to start upsetting a higher ranked division opponent. That would be a pretty sweet way to open up the new stadium.
Yeah, we know what Heritage is about. We saw them beat San Jacinto in convincing fashion in Week 0, but I think you brought up a good point. I think it was in the Pick'em show maybe that JW North is kind of still like a wild card. We're not really sure what the Huskies are all about just yet with this new coach.
Exactly, and that could be their biggest advantage. All the game film they've had from years past is pretty much worthless. So Heritage is going to come in not knowing really what they're going to see in terms of players, personnel, coaching decisions. North might have the element of surprise on their side. So once again, add element of surprise, some excitement if they channel it in the new stadium, and that place is going to be rocking. It's going to be a good one.
I would say maybe the best game we have in Week 1, North against Heritage, a team from the Inland Valley against a team from the Sun Belt, 2 of the better leagues in the inland area. All right, moving on, let's talk about the Solar Series. Now, Last week in week 0, Poly, and you were at the game, Riverside Poly battled Citrus Hill, a very good Citrus Hill team. But Ramona, on the flip side, they beat Rubidoux. They went winless in 2012, but the Rams get it done in their first game in 2013. Are we expecting a close game in week 1?
It's tough to tell. You know, you never want to draw too much off of one game, particularly an opening game when certain teams are not at their best. Citrus Hill made a lot of mistakes in their opener. You know they're not going to make, come week 8. And Ramona, they looked very good against Rubidoux, but let's see if they can do it again. You mentioned they were winless last year. They've got one. Are they going to, rest on their laurels and get a little too excited, or are they going to come out fired up to get another one? There's a lot of question marks with both of these teams still. I do think Poly, having seen the talent they had some running backs who could definitely get to the corner. They shot themselves in the foot with a lot of penalties and still led against a very good team on the road at halftime and at the end of the third quarter. Couple, breakdowns here or there in the secondary. They win that game. It's going to be a good one. I think we're talking about North, Poly, Ramona. It seems like a lot of the Riverside schools are definitely having, off to better starts this year.
And I'm glad you said that, because we're going to touch on that, the rise of the Riverside schools this year in high school football. Now, Ramona has not won a game in the Solar Series since 1997. I was wearing Reebok pumps and pegging my pants and listening to Garth Brooks.
I was 9 years old.
You were 9 years old.
97.
But you just celebrated your 35th birthday last week.
Yeah.
So the numbers don't add up there. So Riverside Poly against Ramona should be a great game at Ramona Stadium. And from what we saw from the Rams last week and the way the Bears battled Citrus Hill, I'm hoping we're going to have a great Solar Series game.
I would expect it to be a higher quality of game than maybe it has been, last year or the year before. I definitely do.
All right, so that's another big game. How about Norco and Vista Marietta? Not playing each other, but they're kind of going hand in hand through the season because of what happened at Norco. Todd Gerhardt no longer the coach. His son, Colton Gerhardt, the quarterback, moved on to Vista Marietta, along with a couple other Norco players. So let's go there first. Vista Marietta opens with a Downey team who I believe is ranked 70th in the state. So maybe not Vista Marietta's caliber, but still a very good team in the overall big picture. A good game for the Broncos right out of the gates.
Absolutely. And Vista Marietta, the expectations are higher than ever for them. That's saying parts, how are they going to gel? There was a quarterback battle. There's been position battles all over the field. You have a lot of new faces, new chemistry. It's not automatic, and Downey is a good opponent to open up with, so they're going to get a good glance at what they can do.
And do we know if Colton Gerhardt is the starting quarterback? Because when he arrived at Vista Marietta, head coach Coley Candell made it very clear that there was a quarterback competition, that Rosiah Basurdo was trying to hold down that position. He transferred from Centennial to be the starting quarterback at Vista Marietta. Colton comes in, and of course he's got the numbers, he's got the name. Everyone expects him to be the starting quarterback, but from what you've heard, has there been a starter named?
I haven't seen anything. Our Southwest correspondents have been doing a great job covering things down there. I haven't seen any reports where it's been definitively yes. One guy's my starter, one guy isn't. So that might be a question mark too. Are we going to see a situation where, one plays a half, one plays another half? Is it going to be a situation where if one struggles, another comes in? There are question marks with this Vista Marietta team. It is not automatic.
All right, so we are live at the Gosh Auto Group in Hemet. The sales manager, Dale Ferguson, will be joining us a little bit later in the show. You got some time, Dale. He's rocking the fresh haircut. He's looking great. He's going to be on camera and tell you about some great deals here at the Gosh Auto Group. But we still got some more games, a couple more to break down, and then we're going to bring on the head coach from your Hemet Bulldogs, Jeff Reitz. He is standing by. And Kyle, our next game is La Sierra and Canyon Springs. It is the debut of La Sierra's new head football coach, Jeff Roney. A very tumultuous offseason for the Eagles. Derek Cruz is back at quarterback for the Eagles after making a brief stint at Santiago. So La Sierra playing Canyon Springs. The Cougars with a big win last week in week 0. Maybe a tight game or lopsided here?
It's hard to tell. La Sierra, once again, a lot of moving pieces. They were not very good last year, so the returners coming back haven't proven anything. They did have some depth transfer out, new head coach. Once again, it's a question mark. Canyon Springs was impressive. 45-35 win over a good Group of Hills team last weekend. Canyon Springs, you got to remember, was only 2-18 over the last 2 seasons. They haven't had a winning season since 2007. But that's the type of opening season win where you get some confidence. You say, all right, maybe we can do something this year. It was on the road against a good team. A lot of new pieces, and they played very well. I like Canyon Springs in this game just because they've already shown us something. La Sierra is a giant question mark, and in terms of what they have, none of it's proven.
The Cougars look good against a very big Harupa Valley team last week in week 0 in that win.
Harupa Valley, excuse me, that's right.
All right, Kyle, I got to put you on the spot.
All right.
Hemet against Marietta Mesa this Friday. Who you got?
You know, it's
Coach Reach is staring you down over here off camera, so.
You've got two very good teams that are on the way up. We've seen Marietta Mesa, come up. They had a nice 45-35 win over Harupa Hills last week. Excuse me for confusing them with Canyon Springs. And then Hemet as well, that 42-6 win over Banning. You know, I saw Hemet in practice, thought to myself, I think these guys are going to be better than anyone anticipated. 17 returning starters, a lot of size, 2 bruising backs. I do have to stay true to what I said on the You Pick'em show yesterday. I am picking Marietta Mesa to win this game just because they've got a lot of skill guys. I think they play in a tougher league, the Southwestern League. I think they're a little more fine-tuned at this point, but don't take that to mean Hemet's not a good team or Hemet isn't for real. I think the Bulldogs do have a chance to surprise some people in the Mountain Pass League. Facing a good Southwestern League team like Marietta Mesa will serve them well in the long run.
You know, Mesa beat a Harupa Hills team that, granted, they play in a smaller division, but they reached the semifinals in the East Valley division. They're a very good team. They've got a lot of star players and a lot of guys back, so that was a quality win for Marietta Mesa. But I think there's one guy in this room, at least one, that will disagree and likes the Bulldogs this Friday in week 1 against Marietta Mesa, and that would be the Bulldogs head coach Jeff Reitz. He's going to be joining us in just a second as we get him mic'd up. Hemet taking on Marietta Mesa in week 1. As we mentioned, the Bulldogs coming off that big win against Banning. I think it was 42-6. Does that sound right, Coach? About right?
14.
Okay, I was close. I'm never good at math, but it was close enough. Head coach Jeff Reitz from the Hemet Bulldogs joining us. And Coach, tell us why the Bulldogs have a chance this Friday against the Rams.
We will be one of the strongest football teams on the field every single week. We have several kids squatting over 500 pounds parallel. We have a ton of them squatting for reps over 400. Both our running backs are squatting over 500, benching over 300, cleaning 275. We have a Division I defensive end in Josh Hensel, who hasn't gotten to play yet. He's foaming at the mouth. We've got a nose guard, Alan and Gary, who's squats over 400 pounds for reps, and he's about the quickest cat on the field. So we've got some impressive players. We've got a quarterback that makes plays. We've got a quarterback that, no matter how hard I am on him, he's harder on himself. He expects more of himself and Justice Judge. So we're pretty exciting to watch. We got some kids that understand it and they get it.
I'm sold. Are you sold, Kyle? Come on, you can still change your pick. There is still time to go with Hemet.
Coach, you know I love you guys, and I definitely think you guys have a lot of talent, but I feel bad being a flip-flopper. I'm going to stick to my guns here, but once again, there's no question. I think there's definitely a chance that Hemet High football, which has been down for a little while, is coming back up.
Did you hear how much they squat? Kyle, they squat a lot out there at Hemet.
I didn't just see them squat. I stood next to those guys, and I know they're big and strong, but Coach, when you took over at Hemet High, there hasn't been a lot of success there recently. This is now your second year on the job. Third year, excuse me. What are your expectations for the program, now and going forward, and how have you seen it grow in the time you've been there?
Well, I got there 2 weeks before the season started, 3 seasons ago, and the kids have bought in. I got great kids. I love my kids. They work hard. They work hard with me in the off season. They work hard with me in the summer, and they work hard with my staff and I in the fall. We practice hard. We practice long and we practice hard. We try to get a rep every 25, 30 seconds in practice offensively and defensively. So not only are we big and strong, they're in cardiovascular shape. So those are the things we've been trying to get to. I asked the kids after practice today, were we able to run practices like this the second week of the season 2 years ago? And the 3 returning starters, the sophomores, Josh Hensel, Junior Americano, Derek Peel, they almost started laughing. They said there was no way. We were still putting in everything. So the kids understand what we're running. We had almost 420 yards of offense on Friday night against a Banning team that's in the same division as Yoruba.
Yep.
And they went 11-2 or 13-2, I believe, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're well coached. They played hard, but we just ran the ball hard, and we run it fast and go. And our wide receivers are great blockers, and they catch the ball. Our slot receivers are incredible, and John Womansky and Andrew Vega. one that matters. And, Marietta Mesa is unbelievably well coached. Their offensive line is great. They have a prolific passing game. But you know what? Our kids are well coached. This is the third year I've been on staff here, and it's been my staff has stayed with me all 3 years. So we're doing something right with that, and the kids buy in.
Now, Coach, I remember when I talked to you before the season, you had a pretty interesting story of how you became Hemet's coach. It almost didn't happen. Tell us, how did it all come to fruition a couple years ago?
I was in Texas. I was getting ready to move down to Brownsville to be the offensive coordinator at a 5A school. And I got a phone call, because I'm originally from California. I've been in the South for 20 years. And so I got a phone call, and the Hacienda Wilson job was open. I flew out and I interviewed for that job. I got offered that job, but we couldn't afford any place to live. So we decided not to take it. Well, a few months later, the guy that got the job, Bob Burt, who's a legend, we've become good friends since, he said, hey, the Hemet job is open and you can afford to live in Hemet. So we called up, got an interview, we moved out here. I got offered the job July 8th from our principal, Dr. Emily Shaw, and the superintendent, and moved out, had to get a whole new staff together, get to know the kids, and it's been unbelievably fast ever since then.
Now, Kyle, you saw Hemet not too long ago. You covered the Mountain Pass League. You did a preview on the Bulldogs. What were your impressions? I remember you said they were big. They looked big and strong, and we heard they can squat. So, what was your impressions as you went out there?
My impressions. I think being new to the area, I was expecting seeing the record last year. I was expecting a team that maybe looked slower, like they couldn't compete, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I saw a team that the energy and the optimism were there. I saw a team that had size, that had multiple weapons too. It wasn't like this was a team where you saw maybe one guy who could play a little bit surrounded by some guys who didn't belong on the varsity field. It was nothing like that. I remember thinking to myself, this does not look like a team that's destined for another 1-9, 0-10 season. Now, once again, I didn't expect you guys to win the league, but I remember writing, I could see them beating West Valley, and after going out and seeing Beaumont's practice, I truly believe that Hemet has a chance to take Beaumont as well. So there's a lot of games we play, but I will say I wasn't totally surprised that you guys beat Banning. I picked Banning because I'm a big believer and I want to wait to see someone win before I pick them to win. But now that you've won, I don't see any reason why not to pick for you guys.
I'm going Bulldogs all the way from the start. You got me, Coach Reitz.
That's funny, so am I.
Yeah, so there's two people in this room going Hemet, at least. All right, anything else, Coach, you'd like to add before Friday's game against Marietta Mesa, maybe about the season or the matchup with the Rams?
Our league, the Mountain Pass League, has great coaches. We lost Paul Lopez at Beaumont, who I have the highest respect for. There's Bill Powell over at San Jacinto. But the two new coaches that came into the league are class acts. The guy up at Beaumont, Perry Snow, I believe, and then Gordon Wood up at West Valley. So it's exciting that the league gets new coaches that care about kids and really want to do a good job. And then, we always have Eric Zomalt does a great job with his kids. And, there's been times he could beat all of us, a whole bunch to not very much. And, he does a class act. He runs a class program. So it's fun for my kids to play against good people that care about kids and that want to compete at the highest level. So I think the Mountain Pass League is an up-and-coming league.
And let me ask you real quick about this Gordon Wood guy we were talking about. Kyle's a San Diego area kind of a guy, so he knows who Gordon Wood is. He coached Alex Smith and Reggie Bush, right, Kyle? Or was it Helix, right?
Helix High School, yeah.
So he's kind of a heavy hitter, right? A big name from that area to come up here?
Well, that's exciting to have a guy like that can coach. And getting to visit with him at the league meeting last week, he's a class act, and he's doing a good job already.
All right, so the Mountain Pass League looks to be much improved and competitive this year, right, Kyle?
Absolutely. That was one thing I wrote about, that Citrus Hill in years past. It's, they're 35-2 against league opponents. Over the last few years, they've won a share of every league title. They're still the main team, but between Talkwitz and Hemet and West Valley, the new coach, there's definitely, I think, going to be a higher level of play, top to bottom in the league, in this year and next, than there has been maybe in previous years when it was Citrus Hill and then everyone else.
Head coach for the Hemet Bulldogs, Jeff Reitz. Thank you so much, Coach, for coming out here. We really appreciate it. You just had practice, right?
Yeah.
So you ran over here, and we
hear your voice.
Yeah. This is pretty much every day.
A lot of screaming today, or what?
I'm always screaming. I'm a yeller. I am so impressed with what Talkwitz did last year, going 3 rounds, and we're just hoping and praying that we're this year's Talkwitz, and the kids are excited about that possibility. It's one game, but we're undefeated, and that's pretty exciting.
He's the best. Head coach Jeff Reeds, thank you so much for joining us here live at the Gosh Auto Group in Hemet as we break down week 1 of the high school football season. Kyle and I will run down a couple more games, and let's kind of pick up where we left off, Kyle, because we were talking about the whole Vista Marietta and Norco and how they're going hand in hand into the 2013 football season because of the moves made in the offseason. So now we go to Norco, where they have a new head coach, but he's a longtime assistant, Larry Baker, and he's taken over the program, and he's trying to make Norco a contender after losing some pretty big names. Colton Gerhardt, maybe the biggest at quarterback, Artie Vasquez on the line, a big lineman, and also Kwesi Meshack, a defensive back who is going to, at least committed to the University of Arizona. So Norco lost a lot. They have a new head coach, a lot of changes there, but you can never really count out the Cougars. It looks like they could have still a great team. Centennial might be the class of the Big 8 League, but you can never count out Norco, and they're going to kind of return to their roots, I guess you could say, and play some smash mouth football, heavy on the running game. So Kyle, Larry Baker and Norco, what's your forecast for the Cougars in 2013?
You know, I'm a little higher on Norco, and I think some of the writers in the industry are than maybe some outsiders, just because I feel like Larry Baker knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to have that team prepared. He's been in the program for 20 plus years now. And sometimes returning to that smash mouth football, which Norco knows and loves, can pay dividends. We've learned that they're actually looking back at some of their old film from the late 90s, and they have some coaches that were on that team that are implementing that power run game that made the Cougars such a good program for so long. And we talked a little bit about it. For all the talk about everything they lost, they were only 7-5 last year. It's not like they were world beaters. So, you know, it's not inconceivable that some changes could yield a better record, so it's not like they were 12-0 and lost everything.
Yeah.
They were just, one game, goes the other way. They're a 500 team.
Yeah.
So,
but they almost beat Centennial.
They did.
I mean, that's how good they were.
They did. There's no question. They were a good team. But when people say, "Oh, they're doomed to go 2-8,"
no way.
I don't think anyone really believes that. This is definitely a team that should be competitive. The program history is too rich. The coaches know what they're doing, and there's still talent on that team.
All right, so from Norco's smash mouth football to Vinny Fazio's bad mood football, he took his bad mood brand of football down to Marietta Valley. So Eisenhower is left with Mike Clark, correct, as the head coach, and they're playing Rialto on Friday. In-town battle right here.
Absolutely. Mike Clark spoke a lot about how he wants to win the Rialto City Series. He wants to, every year, beat Carter and Rialto and make it so that Eisenhower is the dominant force in the city of Rialto. He has his first chance. This is going to be his first game as a head coach against another local school. He's an Ike guy, so there's no love lost between him personally and the other Rialto schools. Ike got off to the right start, 21-0 win last week. Rialto's very talented. Javon Morgan and Paul Cortez, it's one of the best quarterback-running back combinations around. Gavin Pichot has proven himself to be a winning head coach. This is going to be, I think, the best battle in San Bernardino County. That includes the Rev Summit game. I think this is going to be the best game out there. Two teams that have, chances to win their respective league titles. City rivalry, it'll be a good one.
Well, speaking of city rivalry, you got to count Carter too. Carter's always in the mix. Carter's a very good team with Alex Pierce.
And there's no question, but Carter, if you look at players lost, they lost a lot. I think really right now, Eisenhower and Rialto are the two best teams in the city. That could change as the season goes on, but Ike's got 15 guys, starters, a lot of whom with some, a good season can end up playing D1. Rialto, we talked about their 1-2 punch. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. And I think it's really going to come down to who can contain the excitement the most and make fewer mistakes.
We'll find out for sure on Friday as Ike plays Rialto in week 1. Now moving down to the southwest, Temecula Valley will kick off their season against Temescal Canyon. The Titans coming off a tough loss against Vinny Fazio, the former Ike coach in Marietta Valley, 21-10. So the Titans will look to bounce back against the Golden Bears. Now the Golden Bears, them along with Marietta Mesa were cleaning up the bottom of the Southwestern League last season. But as we saw from Marietta Mesa with that big win against Jurupa Hills, the Rams are much improved. Temecula Valley also looks to be much improved, led by their quarterback, Kyle Plantier.
And that's the thing. Temecula Valley, they need to be much improved because the Southwestern League is so difficult. You have, obviously Vista Marietta and Marietta Valley, with Marietta Mesa looking better. Chaparral's never a pushover. Temecula Valley needs to get as many wins in long league play as possible. And they've got to start here. They still have games against Elsinore coming up in non-league play. They're definitely not an easy game really on their schedule, for the most part. So I think for Temecula Valley, it's important to get off to a good start here. Temescal Canyon is going to be ticked off after losing their opening game. I think you have to pick Temescal Canyon just based on the history of the programs. But you look at Temescal Canyon, the Sun Belt League, while tough, isn't as tough as
the Southwestern League, week in and week out.
And their non-league schedule isn't as tough as Temecula Valley. You never want to say a week one game is a must-win, but Temecula Valley needs to win as many games as they can in non-league if they have any shot of getting to 500.
Yeah, because the Southwestern League is just brutal, so it's hard to pick up wins week in and week out when you play in the Southwestern League. All right, we're almost done with our game previews. The last one, Centennial against St. Bonaventure. This is a Saturday night special, and it's kind of like the BCS, Kyle, and in terms of the State Bowl. You can't lose head-to-head against another team that's also vying for that state crown. So this is a big game with state implications, and the Seraphs are one of the few teams that actually played the Huskies tough. The last couple of years, they've beat them 40-35 last year up in Ventura. But in that game, though, I felt like time just ran out on Centennial. If there was 2, 3, 4 minutes left in that game, Matt Logan would have found a way to beat St. Bonnie, but he gets another crack at them Saturday night.
Yeah, the St. Bonnie's has beaten Centennial the last 2 seasons by a combined 7 points. They've been close. This game's probably going to be close again. We're talking about 15, 16 Division I caliber athletes are going to be.
Ricky Town, the quarterback at St. Bonnie, Alabama.
And their tight end is one of the highest recruited tight ends in the nation. USC is one of the many schools on him. Centennial obviously has their normal stable of Division I caliber prospects. These are 2 of the top 10 or top 20 teams in the state, and in the top 20 teams in the country, depending on what ranking system you want to use, and 2 of the top 10 teams in the state. This is going to be part of the marquee game, a weekend down at Oceanside High School. It's going to be on television. A lot of focus is going to be on both teams. It's hard to say, because Centennial plays such a tough schedule as well. They don't have to win it to get to the state bowl game. We saw them get there
last year. They did it just like that,
despite the loss. But at the same time, you want to get off to a win over a marquee opponent because I feel like for either team, if you say, "Hey, we beat so and so," we're in great shape.
Yeah, if you lose a game, it's an uphill battle. Not impossible, because we saw Centennial do it last season, but it's certainly an uphill battle when there's teams like Vista Marietta looming in the Inland Division playoffs down the road. All right, so those are our game previews. Quickly, we're going to take a look at our HS Game Time top 10 for the week. This is always kind of a fun deal. We saw a couple teams leapfrog the other this past week, notably because Santiago, they lost a hard one against Hart, down to the wire, shootout game. Blake Barnett, the junior quarterback, had a monster game for the Sharks. But if you're looking at the stats right now, I've got it right in front of me. Heritage and Marietta Valley leapfrogged the Sharks to go to 5-6. Santiago dropped to 7. So any assessment how we've kept the order? Because it looks like the pecking order is going to stay 1, 2, 3, 4, and then after that, it's really a logjam in terms of the voting.
Centennial, Vista Marietta, and Rancho Verde are the 3 best teams in the inland area, period. And until one of those loses, those are going to be our top 3 teams. But, we talked about this in the preseason. Yeah,
after Rancho Verde, we've got Citrus Hill at 38 votes, Heritage 34, Marietta Valley 33, Santiago 27, Norco 24. I mean, there could be some serious flip-flopping with one loss or a win in the next week or 2.
I personally voted to drop Citrus Hill after their game against Riverside Poly.
Well, you were at that game.
Yeah.
You saw them. You loved Brett Hollingsworth. You came back and said he was your man, and and Citrus Hill is your favorite team.
Which is that Brett Hollingsworth won that game for Citrus Hill, but he didn't have a lot of help. And once again, to be the 4th best team in a place as rich as the Inland Empire and in terms of our rankings, you got to have a lot better performance than the one Citrus Hill put on. So I personally dropped him. But once again, I think next week we could see any really of those top that 4 through 7, even maybe the 4 through 8 range, move up and down. And if some of our lower teams, Rev and Kaiser, have yet to play, if they post really impressive victories, we could see them move up too.
All right, so that's a look at our HS Game Time Top 10. We're going to bring our good friend from the Gosh Auto Group on in just a second, and we just want to thank them for having out here for week 1 of the HS Game Time Live Blitz as we preview the high school football week. And a lot of great games coming up. And before we get to our interview here with our good buddy Dale Ferguson and his awesome haircut, you'll see in just a second. One more quick thing before we get there, one more order of business. Let's talk pick'em games. Now, there's a couple that we did not touch on in our previews, but still very good matchups. How about King Norte Vista? We'll make this quick. King Norte Vista.
Like I said yesterday on the Pick'em Show, I'm going Novi. I think they have the playmakers to win.
But King's huge.
Once again,
King's big.
King's big, but we don't know about any of their playmakers. None of them are proven yet. I think Novi will get a big play here or there, and that'll be the difference.
Kyle the Skeptic. Okay, Summit against Redlands East Valley. Now, Rev, they're loaded. We saw them at practice before. They're
stuck right there.
What?
It's Rev. Rev's
Rev.
Win. Summit, they blew
But
it.
Summit's got Eric Brown. He's going to Washington.
And
he's tall. He catches the ball.
2 catches for 17 yards against an Etiwanda team that's not anywhere near as good as Rev. I think Rev wins this one fairly easily.
You always poke holes in my theories, Kyle. Okay, Lakeside and San Jacinto. Okay, so Lakeside lost last week, a tough one against Cypress. San Jacinto played Heritage, which it's Heritage. It's always a tough game. So toss-up, 50-50, or who do you like in this one?
I've got it as a toss-up. I think there might be a little bit of an inkling to lean towards San Jacinto just because Bill Powell and staff, they always know what they're doing, and it's hard to see that team losing 2 in a row. But at the same time, if Lakeside wins, it wouldn't be a surprise. 50-50 is a fair assessment.
All right, Chaparral and Valley View. Now, the Eagles beat Beaumont last week. Now, we're not sure how good Beaumont is quite yet, but they've got a tradition of winning. Does that bode? Yes.
Not historically, but in the past.
Yes. Does that bode well for Valley View as they play, any team from the Southwestern League is going to be a tough matchup?
I don't think so because Valley View won 26-20. Beaumont fumbled 8 times in that game and threw an interception, and still Beaumont had a chance to win it. And at the very end, Valley View, was able to recover another one of their fumbles. Chaparral, Southwestern League, it's a better team and a better league. I think they win fairly easily.
But here's the deal. Valley View's quarterback, Abraham Nuno, is being sought after by, I think, Harvard and Penn and Cornell. He's super smart. I can tell you right now, he's studying his playbook. He's watching video of Chaparral. He's breaking it all down, and he's going to have a great game against Chaparral.
And he very well might. I mean, there's no question, but at the same time, I think it's just a situation that Chaparral is just a better team all around and a better league all around, and that'll be the difference.
All right, let's bring on Dale Ferguson from the Gosh Auto Group for hosting us this week on HS Game Time Live, the Blitz, as we preview week 1 of the high school football season. First off, Dale, thanks for having us. And Hemet is always a great football community. Are you a high school football fan?
I am. My son went to Chaparral in Temecula. I live halfway between here and there.
We were just talking about the Pumas.
But over the last 4.5 years since I've been working here, I've gone to several of the local high school games, pitching the Chris program, which doesn't cost them a penny. And I've really enjoyed some really good football. And so I really like it. So I'm really optimistic for Hemet this year. They look totally different.
Yeah, we had Coach Reeds in here. Did you hear him squatting?
Oh, yeah.
They can squat. They can squat at Hemet. They're strong. They're big. We're excited about it. So what's this crisp program you were talking about?
Okay, what we have is we have a program here that if anybody comes in, buys and leases a new or used car, doesn't matter, they can pick $100 to be donated to any community community project of their choice. So they can send it to football, they can send it to basketball, baseball, whatever. But what's neat is everybody needs cars, right? And every program needs funding. And this is a great way to raise money at no cost to the schools whatsoever. All you have to do is send them down here, they pick up a car, they work their deal just like any other vehicle, and then they say, hey, I want a crisp deal. And I want $100 to go to Hemet High football, West Valley football, or
You can't beat that.
No, it's great. It's free money for them.
So football and Gosh Auto Group just intertwined in this Hemet community, man. I love it.
Well, Hemet, we're getting ready to celebrate 50 years here in the Valley.
Wow.
We opened up in '64, right? Jack Gosh opened his first dealership here in '64. Both of his kids have gone through the schools in here, and they've stayed and they've fostered this business into a huge community support project as well. Right? And as you guys well know, we received the friendliest dealership for service and sales for the last 2 years in a row, and we expect to get it this year.
Now, Dale, I'm in the market for a new car.
Yes, sir.
What are you going to send me home in today?
You know what?
What's the hot car right now?
The hottest car selling right now is the Toyota Camry. Right now they have $1,000 and 0%. Makes the payment really, really palatable. And we have plenty of them to send you home in. So after we get done, maybe I'll show you a few.
Now Kyle drives an old Ford Pinto. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't. But Kyle,
no, he's still.
What's Kyle going home in? What's Kyle going home in?
I think I'm going to send him I'm going to send him home in a Scion TC. That's what I'm going to send him in. Right?
That's not bad. We could pick the color at least.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Arizona State maroon and gold.
I was thinking purple with pink polka dots.
That will work too for
Draw some
Kyle.
attention.
Just pick out your color and I'll make it easy.
Now, Dale, do you ever get to check out some high school football games around here, or do you stay up to date on the local teams?
I do.
Chaparral maybe as well?
This year I haven't made it out to one yet. I'm going to be working with Mr. Reitz, obviously. But I usually go out there and make halftime presentations, and I just absolutely enjoy the game. And when I get there, I sit on the home team side and I yell like crazy. I'm a retired Marine of 20 years, so I know how to yell. And they hear me. Trust me, they hear me. So it's pretty fun, but I love it.
You need to go out to one of these practices and put them through like some Marine drills, like almost like a boot camp scenario, right?
Absolutely, yeah. But the problem is you want them to kill the other team figuratively.
Yeah. Well, Dale, thank you for your service, and also thank you for having us here at the Gosh Auto Group. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you'll have us back.
Oh, anytime.
And we'll get Kyle out of that Pinto and get him in a nice Scion out here and get him back home.
Well, I know he doesn't drive a Pinto because he's still sitting here. So.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it out here this far, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Dale. We appreciate it. Thank you for having us here at the Gosh Auto Group. All right, Kyle, I'm sorry.
It's all good. I'm used to it. I'll get you back at the office.
I'm sure you will. All right, before we go, we got to do the whole tell me why. We got to make a case for something, and here's the helmet we brought this week. I can't turn it upside down because we got stuff in here, but we got the old Vista Marietta. Here it is. We got this one on this side. So Vista Marietta is the helmet. We're going to be picking things out of here, and Kyle, I'm gonna go first for you. So I'm gonna draw it and you have to answer it.
Sounds good. Ooh.
Let me hand it off to our intern over here, who's handling the helmet.
Prepared.
Oh, this is a good one. Oh, let me grab my notes as well. This is a good one. This is right up your alley. All right, let me change this real quick. Okay, so Kyle, tell me why Brett Hollingsworth, your boy at Citrus Hill, will win the Mountain Pass League MVP. MVP talk already after one game.
Well, I mean, right now, if you look around, who's the best quarterback in the Mountain Pass League after one game? It's him. And really, if you look at a lot of the other guys that are starting, he's got the most experience of any of them. You also have a situation where he's got playmakers and weapons around him, a great coaching staff.
But I thought you said they barely beat Riverside Poly.
They did, and they barely beat Riverside Poly because he did it.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty much him and him alone, almost. So it's one of the situations where, okay, you have a quarterback for a team that's probably going to finish in first place, winning games on his own. That's pretty much an MVP, really, at any level. You look at college, high school, pros. That's pretty much how voters vote.
Okay, you're right. Go ahead. Pick another one out of the helmet for me. This is the Tell Me Why segment we play on the Blitz. It's a fan favorite. Kids love it.
Speaking of quarterbacks,
yeah.
Tell me why juniors Blake Barnett and Shariron Jones are actually the best quarterbacks in the inland area.
Here's the deal. I love Robert Weber and Colton Gerhardt and Bebo, Brent Bohm. They're all great quarterbacks. They're all seniors.
BG3?
Oh yeah, BG3, Billy Gustafson, thank you. The intern reminded me over here at UKIPE, I love BG3. Listen, they're all great senior quarterbacks, but if you go online, and like we do a lot, there's a lot of hype with Shariron Jones at the Rancho Verde and also Blake Barnett at Santiago. So if you saw the Hart game, Blake Barnett had a huge coming out party. I mean, he played a little bit last year and he did okay, but man, he had a huge game against Hart. Shariron Jones had a big game at Elsinore. I mean, in terms of the big picture, he did. Shariron Jones had a,
You said big. That's under.
He played Elsinore. Elsinore's got a stingy defense.
It was 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's big. That's what Barnett had, I think, as well. They each had 5 touchdowns.
It's called epic, not big.
Epic. Monstrous. He had a juggernaut of a game. But here's the deal. They're both great quarterbacks. They're both juniors. I think maybe in the big picture, these guys could go the farthest in terms of, what colleges are looking for. Listen, I love BG3. I love Bebo. I love Colton Gerhardt. I love Robert Weber. They all win. When it comes down to it, you just got to win. But that's why I'm making a case for Blake Barnett and Shariron Jones. Okay, intern. Thank you very much. Out of the Vista Marietta helmet. Kyle, Tell Me Why, and we call it Tell Me Why because that's his favorite Backstreet Boys song, Tell Me Why.
I thought we went over this, larger than life.
All right, well, Canyon Springs is the sleeper team to watch in the Inland Valley League.
Well, like we talked about a little bit earlier, they were 2-18 over the last 2 seasons, but that nice win over Hoopa Valley, I'll get it right this time, 34-3 last week. Hoopa Valley has a pretty big line. Joe Perez had them ready to play. The fact that Canyon Springs was able to really just score at will on them and prevent them from scoring tells me that they controlled the line of scrimmage. They also got some big plays from their playmakers. And you look at the Inland Valley League, it's not as if there's, a huge giant in that league, like a Centennial in the Big 8. What
about the Rancho Verde?
Excuse me, after Rancho Verde.
Sharon Jones,
after Rancho
my
Verde.
boy. Okay.
After Rancho Verde, but you look at Pauley and North and Valley View and all these other teams, and there's no reason Canyon Springs can't jump up into second, third place and make a run toward the playoffs.
I agree. They turned some heads after beating Hoopa Valley. I thought highly of the Jaguars. They got some size and the convincing win. Okay, let's do another one real quick.
Third year under Pete Garza, third-year coaches are when things tend to get pretty good.
It's really heating up at Canyon Springs right now. Come on. Wait, this one's for Kyle.
Once again, this is make a case. Don't necessarily.
Yeah. You don't have to. Hey, listen. This is the beauty of the game. Yeah, you don't have to agree with it. You just at least have to make an argument for it.
And I'm off my game. I'm messing stuff up today. Forgive me, folks. All right. Tell me why Centennial will finally beat St. Bonaventure.
Okay, so first off, I want to say it's the U.S. Armed Forces Honor Bowl. That's what it's called, Friday and Saturday, and Centennial against St. Bonaventure is the main course. There's going to be games on Friday, games all day Saturday, and it's all building up to the St. Bonnie against Centennial game. The Huskies love the limelight. They will come out big time. Robert Weber will have a monster game. And like I told you when they played last year, I just felt like time ran out on the Huskies. They had St. Bonnie on the ropes. They were kind of, picking up steam late in the game, and time just ran out on them. I think time will not run out on them. And last year, that was their first game of the year. This year, they played Liberty from Nevada. They beat them convincingly, hung 60 points on them. So that was kind of like their warm-up game. Last year, St. Bonnie was the warm-up game. This time, no warm-up game. They're hitting on all cylinders. They're going to hit the ground running. They're going to roll past St. Bonnie, and they're going to see Vista Marietta in the Inland Division Championship, and they will both be undefeated. You heard it right here first. Booyah. Live from the Gosh Auto Group.
And no home refs.
And no home refs. Okay. Thank you, intern. Which one? This one?
Either one.
I'll take the bottom one. I'll mix this up. All right, Kyle. Oh man, why do you get all the good ones here? Okay, tell me why Hemet will reach the playoffs this year. And I'm sad that Coach Aritz is gone because I'd like to hear this.
I actually worked this out, went through their schedule, and here's how it happens.
He's breaking it down.
1-0. They'll beat Indio, who they beat last year. Indio is terrible. I apologize if any Indio fans are watching this. They're just not a good football team.
Okay.
Rajas,
yeah.
Valley View, like I said, I've said before, Beaumont, they have some issues there. That they installed a triple option attack. They lost Joe Jeffers, their star back. They don't have any returners on the line. And Valley View wasn't able to take advantage of all that in the first game, only beating them 26-20. I think Hemet could absolutely beat Valley View. If Valley View was only able to do that against Beaumont, considering Beaumont had 8 fumbles and a pick, I have Hemet beating Valley View if they were to do this. Then
we gotta keep this moving here.
They beat West Valley.
Okay.
Rivalry game. They beat Beaumont. They can beat Valley View. They can beat Beaumont.
Okay.
And then upset San Jac at the end. Now keep in mind, they only lost to San Jac by 1 last year.
Okay.
They bring back all the same guys. They're going to be angry and hungry for that win. That puts them at 6-4, 3-2 in the league. That's probably good enough for a wild card berth in the Eastern Division.
That's in the playoffs. Well, Coach Reach was sitting right here next to you, and I said, hey, I'm Bulldogs all the way now. So
all those are reasonable. I'm not going to beat Citrus or Tacos. They can win these.
I agree. So even though this is the Tell Me Why game, I think I could actually buy into that and believe that one. Yes. Some of these you have to make an argument, and you're like, whatever. But I can actually go with that one. Okay, let's do one more. Oh, that one, for me. Okay.
Pat,
yes.
Tell me why Ramona will top Pauley in the Solar Series for the first time since '97.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, Riverside Pauley played Citrus Hill very tough last week. And in fact, I think when you were tweeting a couple times, they had the lead, and I thought, wow, the Bears are actually going to pull this off on the road. Well, on the same token, Riverside Ramona looked really good against Rubidoux. Now, we don't know much about Rubidoux at this point, but still a very quality win. I love the Damon Mays to Byron Mays connection. And there's a player on Ramona who is a soccer player turned wide receiver. I discovered him. Did you know that?
I did not.
I discovered him. He caught a touchdown last week, so I'm taking some of the credit for Ramona. I've got Ramona beating Riverside Poly this Friday because I helped build this team, and the Rams are going to get it done this Friday.
Final score.
Final score of, let's see, I think it might be a little lower scoring than last week. I'm going to go, let's say, 21-17 Ramona. How about that? And remember, this is the Tell Me Why game, so don't call me and say I don't like Riverside Poly because I have to make a case. KG asked me to. All right, before we go, one last thing. So we're going to pick our, oh my gosh, player of the week for the Gosh Auto Group for being such fine hosts here out in Hemet. So who is your, oh my gosh, player of the week? A guy that you think this Friday will have an impact and lead their team to victory?
Well, we were just talking about Poly Ramona after seeing him last week.
You're going to pick a Riverside Poly player, aren't you?
I am. I'm going with David Samuelu. 13 carries, 100 yards, a 62-yard score against Citrus Hill. And that was, splitting carries. If he'd gotten more, I think he would have had even more yards. I think he's a guy that's going to take the ball, he's going to hit the corners, he's going to run up the middle. And I think that's going to be the difference and lead Poly over Ramona.
But did you see Ramona's uniforms last week?
I did, but
they're pretty cool.
I'm not about swag, I'm about performance.
I'm all about swag. I really am. Okay, my oh my gosh, player of the week, I think will be Robert Weber, the quarterback at Centennial. I just think you can't beat Centennial that many years in a row. They're just too good. They'll find a way. Matt Logan's the best. He wears shorts from week 0 to the championship game in December. He's going to be rocking the shorts down in Oceanside. They're going to be feeling good. They're already cruising along after that big win against Liberty, and Robert Weber picked up where he left off last season. All the great quarterbacks that have gone through Centennial, and Robert Weber holds a bunch of those records already, and he did that as a junior. So I think Robert Weber is going to have a huge monster game, and Centennial will leave Oceanside with a big win against St. Bonaventure. So that is my, oh my gosh, Auto Group player of the week. Kyle, any final thoughts before we end the show here about week 1 of the high school football season?
I'm just excited that now we're going to have a view of every team. A lot of teams didn't play in week 0. I think after this week, we'll have definitely a better picture about what do teams have, who they got, how are the new coaches working out, and I can see the football picture becoming clear into focus.
Yeah, week 0 was kind of the appetizer to what we're going to get for Friday in week 1. A very, very special thanks to Dale Ferguson. He is the best here at the Gosh Auto Group. We really appreciate his time, as well as your guy, Jeff Reeds. You want to thank him?
Absolutely. I must say, I've been in a lot of practice for a lot of sports. When it comes to energy and volume, but not necessarily, he's not screaming negative things at the He's screaming and pumped up. Reeds and his
was he yelling, nice squats, keep squatting that?
It's the right idea. So, in terms of energy, those high energy practices talked about, they're paying off.
Well, we're excited for the Hemet Bulldogs this season, and once again, thank you to Coach Reitz for coming out here to the Gosh Auto Groups. Come check them out. Kyle's going to drive away to a new car. Dale's going to hook me up with something real nice, too. They've got some great deals down here, and check out that Chris program. It is a win-win for everyone involved. For the big ticket, KG, Kyle Glazer, I am Pep Fernandez. Please join us again on Friday night as we're going to have HS Game Time Live with all your scores and highlights from week 1 of the high school football season. All right, we'll see you again on the Blitz next Wednesday.